Hello again. Welcome back to another episode of Minor League Fan Club, where we travel to baseball towns exploring minor league level ballparks and their cities. I'm your host, John Southey, Chief Minor League Fanatic. And in today's episode, we are traveling to Tri-Cities, Washington, home of the Tri-City Dust Devils in the Northwest League. The Dust Devils are the High A affiliates of the Los Angeles Angels. The Dust Devils, they play their games at Gesa Stadium. That's located in Pasco, Washington, 1/3 of the Tri-Cities. The ballpark, it opened in 1995. Gesa Stadium, formerly known as Dust Devil Stadium and Tri-City Stadium, gets its current name from Gesa Credit Union. The Dust Devils got their name due to their geographical location, in which the climate is very desert-like. Due to the dry climate and dirt, literal dust devils, or dirt devils as they are also known as, can be swirling around town. You'll see those little like Tasmanian dirt tornadoes going around. Now, Pasco is located in the eastern side of the Cascade Mountains along the Columbia River. Spokane, Washington is about 2 hours northeast of the Tri-City. This week, our ballpark guide is Eric the Peanut Guy Mertens, who has been with the Dust Devils for 24 years. Eric currently serves as the manager of fan experience and community relations. Our fan guides, yes, there's two, is Eric and his wife, Carina. And our local business is the highly touted Hot Mess Burgers and Fries. All right, let's get into this week's episode. Hear ye, hear ye. Minor League Fan Club would like to welcome minor league baseball royalty, Sir Eric, the Peanut Guy Mertens, to the show. Welcome, Eric.
Oh my gosh, thanks. What an intro. John, it's great to meet you in person or online in person. This is great.
Yes, it is finally great to meet you. I know we have corresponded for a couple years now. I've just heard nothing but wonderful things about you.
Oh gosh.
And I tell you what, I cannot wait till there's the opportunity to meet you in person because, like I said, you seem like just a wonderful person to be around and hang out with.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. I can't wait either. You seem like just, you got energy, you got the love, you got the creativity and the drive, and that's what makes this, in my opinion, that's what makes this minor league baseball community what it is. So this is really fun. This is fun to be here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So before we get into you being our ballpark guide today, I introduced you in jest because on social media, they do refer to you as royalty or King Eric, the Santa Claus of minor league baseball. And I tend to agree. I've only known of you for a couple years, but you are kind of iconic, not only to Tri-City Dust Devils, but to the minor league community in general. But there is a reason for it, and that is because you have been in what is usually a high turnover industry.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people who stay in their job for a very long time, but you've been with Tri-City for 23 years. You started, since their inception, you started as a peanut guy, a peanut vendor. So that's why you are the peanut guy.
That's real, yeah.
You became the MC, on-field MC.
Yeah.
And then you recently took on the job of manager of fan experience and community relations. So I think I have the perfect guy for this interview today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I just want to ask you, would you mind sharing your experience over the years of being with Tri-City and what made you stick around so long in a place that people usually change jobs?
That's a great question. That's a great question, and kind of goes to the core of who I am, or at least who I try to be. Um, I'm a fan first. I really am. I love my hometown. I moved to the Tri-Cities, Washington, when I was 6 years old, and ever since then, I just kind of fell in love with this place. And when people hear about the Pacific Northwest, they'll hear about Seattle and Portland, and maybe Spokane and Tacoma. Those are the bigger cities. But the Tri-Cities is not a tiny place, but it's not the Seattle or the Portland.
Mhm.
And it's a newer community. It really kind of grew up after World War II. It's kind of been a boom town since then, so relatively new. But growing up here, I loved baseball. And you and I were just talking about this. We're recording this in the colder time of the year,
Yeah.
but when it's not snowing, which it doesn't do that too often, a lot of people love to be outdoors around here to play outdoor sports. And for me, it was baseball and t-ball. And so when we got a professional baseball team, I was a senior in high school, and I just got so excited to have an affiliated pro team. We'd had other teams in the past, and I'd like to go out there, but for me, it was the first time living here that we had an affiliated minor league team. And so I knew I wanted to be out there as a fan. And then I got hired on as a peanut vendor. And so I kind of combined the two things, like I kind of brought that fan excitement to being a peanut vendor. I got to know the other fans. I don't consider our guests or fans, like others. I feel like I'm one of them. And thankfully, they've welcomed me. And so I felt that it was kind of a personal mission of mine since day one to make the Dust Devils experience as best as it could be, and to do everything I could to help the team not just stick around, because as you said, in minor league baseball, there's a lot of transition, whether it's people changing jobs or teams leaving communities and moving to another one. I have been diehard about making the Dust Devils as big a part of the Tri-Cities community as I personally could. Of course, it's not just me; it's a whole team and it's whole generations of employees and fans. But that's why I stuck around so long.
That's awesome. That's a great story and a background. I really love that. And you do embody everything about Tri-City. I say to you already that I joke with you all the time, but I think recently you mentioned something about Tri-City and Felix Hernandez or something like that, and I connected you all the way back to Tri-City because that's what I know you for is celebrating Tri-City and celebrating the Dust Devils because
Oh,
you
thank
do
you.
it almost as much as possible, and that is you can see your love for sure.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, because you are the best ballpark guide for this team, I want you to imagine me kind of arriving in the Tri
Mm,
Cities area, and I'm going to be heading to the stadium, right?
right.
What kind of traffic should I expect heading to the ballpark? And then what's parking like when I arrive there? Do I have to pay for it?
This is fun. I love this little imagination exercise here. Well, good news. Traffic is nothing like the west side of the state. So, Seattle and the Puget Sound area, it's a great place. I love visiting, but I always love leaving because that means no more traffic jams. So, the Tri-City, like I said, the Tri-Cities is growing. It continues to grow. It's one of the fastest growing communities in the
Mm-hmm.
region, but traffic's not nearly as bad as some other larger metropolitan areas. So the good news is, one time a Dust Devils player actually told me this. So he played in Tri Cities for the summer. Obviously not from here. We've had a few guys from here play, but he told me, if you think about it, if you look at the highway system in the Tri Cities, it's just a big circle, and we have like three main highways that kind of connect Kennewick, Richland, and Pasco, which are the three cities here. So it's pretty easy to get around. Everything's maybe 15 to 20 minutes away. You can get around here pretty easily. And you would take exit 9, I believe it's exit 9, off of Highway 182 in Pasco. It's right by the airport. So if you fly in, it's just one exit down from the airport. Um,
Nice.
and you get off the highway, take a few right turns, and you'll enter into a large parking lot. We have ample parking. Gesa Stadium, the home ballpark of the Dust Devils, was built in West Pasco before anything else was built out there. So it was built in 1995, and it was just a bunch of wheat fields and vineyards around there, and then a ballpark. It was kind of like Field of Dreams, kind of like right in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, a lot of development, a lot of commercial and residential. But the one good thing that's stayed up to date is a lot of open spaces. So a lot of parking. You do have to pay for it. It is paid parking. $5 is the most you'll pay. If you get like a ticket package or something like that, it would be $3. But for the one-time visitor, $5 and you're in.
Good deal. That's a good deal. We've arrived at the stadium, and I'm going to be walking in. And through my research, I noticed this giant shade that was installed outside of the stadium, and it's a unique feature. And like you said, it's an older stadium, so finding some uniqueness about this stadium is special. And that's what I like when I go to visit different ballparks. I like to find the uniqueness, and that shade is unique. Can you explain to our viewers and listeners why they had to install that shade?
Yeah, what the heck is that? Yeah, the Tri-Cities is in the high desert, so you can see for miles. And so you can see that sunshade from all three cities from miles away, because it just juts up into the sky. It is kind of the defining characteristic of the ballpark. So you hit it right on. Yeah, when the ballpark was built, they built it in West Pasco, and normally, the orientation for a professional ballpark is to face northeast or east northeast, kind of in that general direction.
East northeast. Yes.
Right. Yeah. And so they were going to do that, but they realized there's a beautiful, beautiful view of the Horse Heaven Hills, kind of these rolling desert hills that the Columbia River has kind of carved over, thousands of years, to the south. And that's facing Kennewick, across the Columbia River towards the hills in Kennewick. And so they decided to face the stadium south. And with that has come one of the best views in the area, especially if you go up to the top row of the ballpark. I always encourage people to sit up high, or at least to walk up there at least once, because you see this almost 360 view of this beautiful desert region. But because of that, the sun came into play, and the third base side, left field side of the ballpark would just be in the sun for the entire game. And here in the desert, it can get pretty hot. So in the summers, it's not unheard of to get up to 110 degrees sometimes. So no one would sit on the third base side. Even though the views were great, they would roast their behind off. So in 2000, I think it was 2008, they built this humongous sunshade so that by first pitch, by 6:30 or 7 p.m., all the seats are in the shade. And it does work. It brings down the temperature about 10 degrees.
Yeah, I did. Actually, I read it, and somebody said up to 20 degrees, believe it or not.
Hey.
Yeah, so that is, if it gets to 110, and of course I'm in San Antonio,
right,
saving 20 degrees is well worth it, which kind of leads me into my next question, actually. So when I go to ballparks, and you kind of already alluded to it, but I spend some time determining which side is not facing west, because if you go to any Texas game and you sit in the west where the sun is going down, you're gonna melt, and it's guaranteed. Last summer, I spent some time in the Pacific Northwest, and I actually went to a game at Safeco, and it was probably the most pleasant baseball game I've ever been to. It was beautiful. It was beautiful out.
Yeah.
But of course, Pasco is about 4 hours from Seattle, and you're kind of in a bowl, if you will. It's kind of desert heat there, I guess, that you guys get. I heard about it never raining there. Can you tell me what visitors can expect weather-wise? And you kind of already said where the best seats are, but what is your favorite seat at the stadium?
Oh my gosh, these are great questions. Yes, you're right. When people think of the Northwest, they think of the Evergreen State and rain, and but in the summers, it's not so much, even on the west side. And I keep saying east side, west side. That's because the Cascade Mountain Range cuts right down the middle of Washington State and Oregon. And it's two very different climates, because the storms and the precipitation will come off the ocean, but then they'll hit the Cascade Mountains, and Eastern Washington is basically in the rain shadow. So we get very little rain during the summertime. We used to be a short season team. The whole Northwest League was short season up until 2021. And so our season would be from like mid-June to early September. And we don't get any rain here in the Tri-Cities during that time. I mean, we had one rain out in 21 years. We didn't even own a tarp for the field. But now we're very grateful. The Northwest League got promoted to full season. So now we're starting the season like in the 1st of April. So that's still kind of spring weather time. We are in the Northwest, so we still get some rain in April and May, but not too much. So if you come, I always encourage people to come in the summer because yes, it does get toasty, but it's cliche to say it's a dry heat. It really is dry. It's nothing like Texas heat. It really is. So I would recommend coming in the summer. I'd recommend getting a seat in the shade, which, as we've talked about, all the seats will be in the shade after the first inning or so. We have some great seats. All of our seats in the ballpark are like standalone seats with back and armrests and cup holders, except our general admission, which is the third base side upper box. But that is where the best views are. So I'd recommend, maybe getting a seat along the first base side. We do a lot of fun promotions on the first base side, but at least get up there to the top of general admission to take in the view.
Oh, very nice. That sounds perfect. If I'm at the stadium, I buy a ticket. If I go by myself, I'll buy a ticket, and then I won't get to my seat maybe until the third inning because I'm walking around and I'm going everywhere.
I do the same thing. I love that.
I have to explore.
Yeah.
Right. I got to know the nooks and crannies. What foods are they offering? What amenities do I need to see? But Gesa Stadium is one of the older ones in minor league affiliated baseball. Like I said, it was built or opened in 1995, but they've done some upgrades. That doesn't mean that it isn't unique in its own right, right? What are some cool features of the stadium that visitors should be sure to check out when they're there? But there's one in particular, and you're kind of going to have to talk about yourself here, I think. No. Because I think I don't know if any other stadium has something like that for an icon of minor league baseball. But what are some of these features that people should check out?
Oh, John, thank you. You're very generous with your superlatives of icon and royalty. I feel very uncomfortable with that, but thank you for the compliment. You're right. The ballpark was built for an independent league team in the mid-90s, and it was a pretty pedestrian ballpark. But the great news is, since our current ownership bought the Dust Devils in 2004, every year they've added upgrades and updated the stadium. That sunshade was one of the big upgrades. Right now, we're in the middle of a multi-million-dollar clubhouse renovation to meet new MLB standards. So every year, the city of Pasco, who owns the ballpark, and our ownership group invests in the ballpark. So if you were to walk in, you wouldn't think, man, this place was built in the 90s. But because of that, it has a lot of character now because we've kind of worked around the original footprint and everything. Right when you walk in, first off, you'll see a very friendly staff. That's what one of my favorite things to do in my life is to visit other ballparks. So when I'm working at Dust Devils games, I always greet visitors. And you usually can tell them because they're dressed like you right now. They're wearing a hat or a shirt from a team not near the Tri-Cities. So San Antonio, like if I were to see you walk in with the San Antonio Missions hat, I'd say, "Hi, are you from Texas?" And then and I juggle at the front gates. I try to greet every fan when they come in. And so one of the first things visiting fans say is, "Wow, this is one of the most friendly ballparks I've been to." And I feel a lot of pride about that because the staff truly are some of the best people in the community work for the Dust Devils. So awesome. Pretty friendly. You alluded to something that I'll talk about, I guess. We have 2 life-size bobblehead statues right inside the front gates. One is the most famous Dust Devil he was our second baseman in 2010, and then he was drafted by the Seattle Seahawks in 2012 and is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Russell Wilson played for us in 2010, played as our second baseman. And of course, we're all big Seahawks fans in Washington. So the fact that he won a Super Bowl with the Hawks. So he has his own life-size bobblehead. And the second life-size bobblehead is some random peanut vendor named Eric the Peanut Guy. And they surprised me with that in 2020.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, I'm so grateful for that. I'll never be able to thank him enough. But anyway, when you walk in, you kind of see these two fun life-size statues of bobbleheads, and it kind of sets the tone that, man, we're going to have some fun tonight. This is going to be a
Yeah,
fun, interactive, community-centered experience.
very fun. And again, it's because I think they gave you or they offered you the perfect position because you have created that atmosphere, I think. And for people to say it's one of the friendliest ballparks, and I understand what that means because I've been
Yeah,
to both sides.
yeah,
And
right. There's tons of very friendly ballparks out there. Yeah.
yes, there are. And then there's ones that you can walk through the door and never speak to a single person at all.
Yeah.
But and I'm not knocking anybody, but that makes minor league baseball special. You're like, that person kind of cared that I was here. You are throughout this ballpark. They say when you go to see the Tri-City Dust Devils, make sure you get your picture with Eric the Peanut Guy when he's got his apron on. Get a picture with his bobblehead. Is the Eric's patio still out there?
Oh man, that was fun. You did do your research. Um, Unfortunately, no. I say unfortunately because that was at the top row of general admission, which is again my favorite view.
Mhm.
So that was a product of the pandemic. So in 2021, all minor league teams could open. We had a delayed start to that season, but then you were subject to Major League Baseball rules, your state, whatever state you're in, had different laws and rules on what county, what city. And so that 2021 season, I couldn't be on the field to do my normal on-field hosting duties. In fact, I don't think any teams could have non-players on the field that season.
Right.
So instead of doing our promotions and in between inning fun on the field, we did it. We went up to the top row of general admission and called it Eric's Peanut Patio. And I tried to turn it into like my own late show. I had like a desk with a microphone and I'd interview people, or they'd come up and we'd do trivia or we'd play some games, but they would have to come up to me instead of going down on the field. So that was really fun. And we had a big sign that said Eric's Peanut Patio, but the good news is we can be on the field now, so no more peanut patio.
Oh man, that would have been so fun to be in there in
I
Eric's
want it.
Peanut Patio.
There was a sign. They made this huge banner so that folks
Mhm.
could see what. And I don't know where it is, but I'd love to have it and just like put it in my garage or something.
Hey, there you go. Or in what do we have? Your new hat house. You could
Oh
put it in
yeah,
there.
a hat parlor that my wife and I have. Yeah.
Yes, it's beautiful. Oh, people, if they visit, they may mistake you as the mascot, but you're more like the team advocate. I mean, we've
Yeah.
already said it a couple times. You promote Tri Cities and the Dust Devils almost as much as possible.
Mhm.
I even think before we got on, I saw you had reposted something regarding the Dust Devils, which
Yeah.
is is perfect for you. That's who you are, and but you do, the team does have its own mascot. Can you
Yes.
tell the viewers and listeners who the mascot is, what's their name, and what it is?
Yes. Thank you for asking. Far be it from me to pretend that I'm the mascot. We have a great mascot, and he likes to cause a little trouble every now and then, so I better be polite. His name is Dusty the Dust Devil, which is very appropriate and hard to forget. Dusty the Dust Devil. I remember when he was born in 2001, and boy, I tell you, he's glowed up. He has improved over time. So he's a great guy now. He's just had his 21st birthday a little bit ago, obviously. So yeah, he is an anthropomorphic dust devil. He loves to greet fans at the front gates. He gives autographs all the time and high fives. He has a special autograph signing time in the eighth inning of every home game. But this is quite possibly one of the most fun promotions I've seen. And I've been blessed, like you, to travel the country and visit different minor league ballparks. I've gone to a ton of minor league games all over the place. and I've seen some amazing things. I'm proud to say one of my favorite promotions I've ever seen is at Gesa Stadium. It was not my idea by any means, but it's every sixth inning. If you come to a Dust Devils game, they open up the left field like bullpen gate way back in the left field corner by the foul pole, and Dusty himself will start sprinting across the outfield. This is between innings, by the way, of course.
Yeah.
Sprinting towards the right field foul pole where there'll be another gate, and tracing after Dusty, following him, trying to beat him will be hundreds and hundreds of children. It's called the Dusty's Dash. It's every sixth inning at a Dust Devils game. And so not only is he out hanging out with the crowd and mingling with people and giving high fives and signing autographs, but he is definitely a part of the game. And kids, if they chase after Dusty, they get a free coupon for a Pizza Hut pizza. So you can't beat it.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you like what the Dust Devils might do for kids to get them to come to the game. So they just sign up and they can participate in something like that?
Yeah. Well, they don't even need to sign up for Dusty's Dash. You just have to line up.
Oh, awesome.
I mean, we do have on-field promotions, and that's, as we've talked about, that's kind of my wheelhouse. I love to host the on-field promotions in between innings. You do have to sign up for those because those are limited
Right.
spots. So if you're a kid or if you're bringing a kid to the ballpark, first thing right when you walk through the front gate to your left is the team store. We have lots of great deals, and my amazing wife Karina is actually the team store coordinator. So lots of cool stuff for kids. To your right will be the kettle corn stand, so smell delicious. We got the bobbleheads, but the next thing you see are all the kid zone bouncy houses, and we have a speed of pitch game. Tons of fun food for kids. But Dusty's Dash might be the most popular thing because you don't need to sign up. You just need to be there in time, and you get a free pizza out of it.
Oh, man, that sounds delicious and fun for them.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could shrink down and join in and get that
You
free
could.
pizza. That sounds delicious.
There's no age limit. There's no.
Oh.
In fact, so a lot of parents will run with their kids, and man, I tell you, I played baseball all the way through high school, and running poles was a punishment.
Yeah.
We'd have to.
Yeah.
Run. I don't. Did you play? Did you play ball?
I did not play in high school, but I remember, yes.
Yeah. Like we would condition by doing basically the Dusty's Dash, but now kids can do it for fun. So parents will do it with them. One of my favorite memories is 2 years ago, my friend Steve Willits is the on-field host for the Everett Aqua Sox, who are in our league, and the Mariners affiliate. And we're all Mariners fans here too, so we like Everett. But he's the on-field host for their home games, but he's their radio broadcaster for their road games. So I get to see him every time the Aqua Sox are in the Tri-Cities. Anyway, one day he said, "Eric, do you think I could do the Dusty Dash in between innings?" I'm like, "Steve, the press box is way at the top of the upper box. You'd have to first sprint down all those steps to the concourse level and then race to the third base gate, which is way back in left field.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to sprint across the field and then make it all the way back up. And there's only 90 seconds to 2 minutes for an inning break. And then you have to be on air for the first pitch. You know what I mean? But he did it. He did it. And he's older than me, and God bless him, he did. I couldn't do it. I would have died halfway through. But so yes, adults can do Dusty's Dash as well.
Awesome. So that means he would have won a pizza.
He did. Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's great. And going to the stadiums, that is probably maybe my first or second favorite thing to do when I visit a stadium is to eat. And Tri-Cities is known for their plethora of vineyards.
Yes.
And so much so that the team's Copa de la Diversión identity is the Viñeros, right?
Yes, you pronounce that very well.
Oh, thank you. I try. I do understand that you can get some local wines and local beers when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I was having trouble finding was some of the unique food offerings. What can I eat that's unique there?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. We have a great director of food and beverage, Stephanie Enciso, and every year she tries to up the game and get new stuff. And our most popular food offerings at the ballpark are at Dusty's Grill Cart. There's a nice food cart, but it's an open air grill, and it's right between the upper box and the general admission seats. And sometimes I just stand there in between innings because it just smells so good. Because
Oh yeah.
they'll grill sausages and foot long hot dogs and burgers and grilled onions right there,
The
right in
grilled
front of you.
onions. I knew
Yes,
that's what it is.
yes. She just told me, actually, Stephanie just told me that the most popular item is the hatch chili sausage, which I love chilies and hatch chilies.
Mhm.
So Dusty's Grill, you got to check that out for sure. Right next to Dusty's Grill is our snow cone booth, and once again, it gets kind of warm in the summer months, so snow cones are pretty popular. Last year they added a teriyaki chicken bowl, which is super yummy. That's probably been our most famous thing. Oh, another thing they added last year, which is super fun, are adult slushies. And by adult, I
Oh
mean alcoholic. And
yes.
they have bright blue slushies and bright red, and that matches the colors of our other alternate identity, the Columbia River Rooster Tails, blue and red.
Yes.
So it's kind of a rooster tail themed slushy. Yeah, and this year, right now, Stephanie's working on new items, so we might have even more. But I will say too, we have some cool outside vendors. So we have Pizza Hut, we have Little Orbit's mini donuts, so that's another good smell, and the kettle corn, atomic kettle corn. So right when you walk in, you get all these great smells.
Yes. That. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever seen donuts yet at a ballpark,
Mm,
so that will be something I definitely need to try. But that
yeah,
teriyaki chicken
yes,
sounded fantastic.
that's what I go for. If you were to ask me, what would I buy at Gesa Stadium? I'd get the teriyaki or the teriyaki chicken bowl. And then I'm not lying. This sounds overly cliche. Our hot dogs are really good. And
Oh, I
again,
believe you.
like you, I've probably had hundreds of ballpark hot dogs, and most of them are good, but like anything, they can be hit and miss. But the Gesa Stadium hot dogs are really good. So check it out.
Oh my gosh. I for sure will when I make it there. So one of the things when I build a road trip is I try to see what promotions are hot.
Hmm.
Which ones real? I like bobbleheads. I like jersey giveaways. I like
Yeah.
Christmas in July, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What kind of promotions, if I was to schedule to come to the stadium, what would I schedule around?
That's great, man. Um, like other teams, we have some really great traditional promotions. So fireworks every Saturday home game, along with our season, like our opening day and season finale. So fireworks are always fun. Family feast nights are every Friday, which is like $2 hot dogs and items and drinks and snacks all game long. So you can bring out your family and feed them for only a few bucks. But some really special, kind of unique promotional nights are, we always do Dash for Cash once a year, where we bring out like a construction lift, like one of those, ladder lifts that can go way up high. We wheel it out to the center field, and our head groundskeeper, Michael, he will throw out over $1,000 in different denominations of bills, tens, fives, ones, 20s, and it will just shower down onto the outfield. And we will have pre-selected 20 contestants who start on the infield, and they have to sprint out as fast as they can and grab as much money as they can.
Oh,
And it's kind of like one of those I don't know what you call them, but one of those booths where they'll blow money and you can grab
mhm.
all the bills.
Yes.
It's like that, only at a baseball park.
Oh
So
gosh.
that's fun. We also have Dollars in Your Dog Night, where we will wrap money into the hot dogs. And so if you go buy a hot dog, that night, you could open it up and there might be $1, there might be $10, there might be a $100 bill wrapped up in your hot dog. Recently, we've changed it to be more sanitary. Well, not just recently. So they'll wrap up vouchers, like clean vouchers, and then you redeem them for the cash, because we're like, we don't want a dirty $50 bill getting in your hot dog. But finally, my favorite promotional night is actually a promotion weekend, and it started 2 years ago. It's our alternate identity, again, the Columbia River Rooster Tails, and that celebrates the history of boat racing in the Tri-Cities. Hydroplane racing is a really fun thing that goes around the country. It's kind of like NASCAR on water, and so they have a circuit, and these hydroplanes, which go over 200 miles an hour on water, they race all over the country. And one of their favorite stops, that's been going on for almost 60 years, is the Tri-Cities, and the Columbia River right there. And because of that, those races are always the last weekend in July. And it's called the Tri-City Water Follies. It was started right during World War II, right after World War II, so it's been going on forever. And to celebrate that, we came out with this alternate identity, the Rooster Tails. So we have bright blue jerseys, really fun bright red hats that shows a rooster driving a hydroplane. And they're called Rooster Tails because that's the name of the plume of water that shoots out behind a hydroplane. It's so tall and kind of looks like a rooster tail. So anyway, we'll actually pack the ballpark. People will go down to the river and watch these hydroplane races during the day. And then at night, they'll come to a Dust Devils game. But surprise, we're playing as the Rooster Tails, and we'll have the hydroplane drivers throw out first pitches, and we'll have kind of a celebration of these boat races.
Oh my gosh, those sound so unique and fun that I'll definitely have to consider those. Wow, that boat race. I when you look up Tri-Cities, that's all over the place.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's kind of, when I moved here when I was 6 years old. You know, I mean, I was a kid, but I was like, where are we moving to, and what is this place? And one of the first things I learned was, in the summertime, it's all about the boat races. And then after the Dust Devils showed up, when you talk about the Tri-Cities and summertime fun, it's these hydroplane races and Dust Devils baseball.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Eric. But before I let you go, where can people find the team on social media?
Yeah, well, once again, thanks so much for having me. I love what you do, and keep it up. Keep up the great work. Thanks for doing all this. Yeah, the Dust Devils are active on social media and online. In fact, one of my new responsibilities with my new job is helping with the website. So I'm learning. Please be patient. But if you go to dustdevilsbaseball.com, yep, it's kind of a long URL, but type that out, dustdevilsbaseball.com. You can find all the info. And then on Twitter, we're at TC_Dust Devils. I'm most active on Twitter, but our Instagram is pretty popular too. And that we're at Tri-City Dust Devils there. And you can find me, Eric the Peanut Guy, Eric with a K. I'm retweeting everything I'm reposting on Instagram. So come say hello.
Thank you. I'll definitely put those in the show notes so people can follow you and the team. Again, thank you so much. It was beyond a treat. I think it was royally a good treat.
Thanks, John, man. You're awesome.
You're welcome.
And go Dust Devils.
Go Dust Devils. Thank you. See you soon. Welcome back. This fan guide is going to be extra special because, like I said in the previous segment, Eric is joining us with his lovely wife, Cariña. I am so excited to have you both on to give a fan perspective of Gesa Stadium and the Tri-Cities. How are you both doing?
It's Tuesday.
Yeah, we're doing good. This is the best Tuesday night yet. Yeah.
Awesome. Taco Tuesday.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm really glad to have you both on so I can learn about your favorite team and your favorite city. In the previous segment, Eric and I talked a lot about the logistical parts. I really want the people to get like a nice bird's eye view of what to expect when they go to a ballpark. So in this segment, I kind of want to get a little bit more intimate, kind of from how a fan might spend their time at a ballpark and have the most fun. So I know this won't apply to everyone because like me, I often do road trips solo. But let's say you're going on a date or you're going to bring a friend. What's the best way to spend an evening at Gesa Stadium?
That's a good question. We have done that before, actually. Even though both of us work for the Dust Devils, we're also, we both grew up in the Tri-Cities and we're both fans of the Dust Devils first and foremost. So I don't know. What do you think?
I think probably, once you get to the ballpark, go through the gates. There's the two bobbleheads, who I'm sure you learned about in the first.
Yes.
I haven't listened to. I wasn't listening, so I didn't get to hear everything you guys got to talk about.
Problem.
But I've seen couples come through and they take photos with the two bobbleheads. then slide on over to concessions, get a drink, and then I feel like it's kind of fun to walk. Or Eric and I like to do this when we go to a new ballpark. We like to walk around, so we kind of recommend doing that. And especially if the sunset is starting to come in, you can kind of take that in, walk on up to Dusty's deck, get in the mood for baseball, I guess.
Set the mood.
Yeah. For date night. And head
This
on
would have
up.
been a perfect Valentine's Day episode. I wish I would have been able to air that.
Well, people can listen back, next
Yes.
February 14th.
Sounds perfect. So what kind of what's your favorite drink or and food that you would pick up? What would you share with somebody?
I'm going to let Karina answer this because A, I can't drink when I'm working, unfortunately. and B, Gesa Stadium has some really nice, we actually have a number of drink stations where you can get canned drinks, canned cocktails, beer on tap. But you always go for some fun things.
Yeah, I personally like, depending on the weather, because during the beginning of the seasons, it's a little bit colder and windy and more rainier. And I'll usually do a canned cocktail, so I can use a koozie for that. But when it's hotter and in the summer, I like to get a nice IPA. I'm an IPA person myself, but No Lie is the brewery that is my favorite that we carry. And there's plenty of canned beer, but I really enjoy the No Lie.
Yeah, No Lie is a regional brewery from Spokane, which is just a few hours away from the Tri-Cities, and they have lots of great local craft beers.
Sounds good. Sounds great. One thing about the stadium that I really want to highlight that we did not cover at all in the first segment, and many out-of-towners probably don't even know about, is Ed's Fund. Could you talk a little bit about how special Ed is to you and what the Ed Fund is?
Hey, thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. I didn't know you would. That's a nice surprise. Ed is my dad, and my dad sadly passed away about 7 years ago. Totally changed the trajectory of my life. But he would come to Dust Devils games all the time. I mean, I've been there. This will be my 24th year with them. And so I started as a high schooler, and my mom would come to support me. They're also big sports fans, so they like come to a ball game. And as years went on, I'll give you the short version because I could talk forever about this. But my dad started surprising other fans with little gifts. Maybe it was like a little toy for a kid or a souvenir ball for an adult. He would always kind of look out for someone who might need an extra pick-me-up that day, no matter who they were, right? And so he would go to the Dust Devils team store, spend his own money, buy the little souvenir, and then give it to me and tell me to go surprise the fan with it. And I would always say, like, well, why don't you come with me? You're the one buying it. And he would always say, no, I don't want anyone to know it's me. The last season he came to, he would multiple times a game. He was dropping a lot of his money doing this and giving me little chores to do, which I always enjoyed. Well, after he passed away, that was mentioned in his obituary, and nobody knew until then that it was my dad who was kind of surprising all the fans with these little gifts. And so, unbeknownst to me, different fans read that obituary, and then the next season, the first one without my dad there, they would start handing me money. And again, I was still selling peanuts and Cracker Jack at the time, so I thought they wanted to buy something, but they'd be handing me like $20 bills, $50 bills, and I was like, "What is this for?" And they said, "Well, we heard your dad would surprise kids or different fans with souvenirs, and we want to keep that going. So here, use this money to go buy some souvenirs, go give them to kids, kind of in your dad's memory." And more people started doing that, and it was this really beautiful, organic thing. The Dust Devils didn't advertise it. I didn't advertise it. It was just the local Tri-Cities community that kind of honored my dad this way. And what's really, really special is I mentioned it on another podcast, or a few other podcasts. And so now all these amazing people on Twitter or Instagram, every year on the anniversary of my dad's birthday, started donating money for Ed's Fund, even though if they've never been to a Dust Devils game. So it's a testament to my dad. It's a testament to the Tri-Cities community. and it's a testament to the minor league baseball community.
Absolutely. I love that story, and that's why I had to share it. I am a giver at heart, and I really wanted to highlight that because I just think it's so special. I think what he was doing, especially secretive. I'm very similar in that I don't like to be braggadocious. I like to be silent and give hidden gifts. And even in this small little minor league fan club, I do something similar. Every month I'll give a gift away to newsletter subscribers. I just think it's fun. I like to have fun, and I just think it's a great way to interact with the minor league community. But
that's so cool.
Yes, it is. And your dad is inspiring. I started thinking, I was driving yesterday, and I said, I think I need to do this locally too, in some capacity. I just have to, because I think it's so awesome. And just giving to little kids, and I have to figure that part out.
Yeah, right.
I just think it's great. So I will give credit when credit is due at the time, but I think I'm going to start doing something like that as well, because it's very special.
That's beautiful, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, can out-of-towners or fans, when they're at the ballpark, can they donate while they're there?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I mean, because I work in the team store now, I came across that. There was an old friend, family friend or something, and they knew about it. But I can't remember what exactly the situation was, but they ended up going to buy a gift card instead, and they bought something for someone. Or they just can you just hold on to this? And then we kind of combined that with Ed's Fund, since that's kind of what they meant to do, I think, is what they didn't know it was called Ed's Fund, but they knew it was Eric's dad's fund.
Okay.
But yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. So at least everybody will know that they can do that when they're there. And if anybody's inspired to do it at their own ballpark, I certainly encourage that as well.
Yes. Yeah, my dad would love that.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. So since we did spend a lot of time on baseball already at the ballpark, could probably continue, but I really, really want to travel around Tri-Cities. So I am really eager to learn about what to do, see, and eat. Okay. So with that being said, are there any events that you can think of that minor league fans might schedule their baseball trips around when they're visiting Tri-Cities?
You take that one.
Okay. This is a perfect segue, John, and I don't know if you meant to do this, but one of the first things I learned about the Tri-Cities when I moved here was that the last weekend in July is the biggest, most fun weekend in the Tri-Cities. That's because the hydroplanes come to town. It's boat race weekend. And hydroplane racing is such a really cool event. And it's kind of like NASCAR on water. These are racing boats that can get up to 200 miles an hour. And they have a circuit that goes all over the country. Like they race in Detroit, Michigan, and California, I think Indiana, Seattle, Washington, and the Tri-Cities, Washington has been one of the stops on that circuit for almost 60 years. And so that's always the last weekend in July. And a few years ago, the Dust Devils came out with an alternate identity to honor the boat races. And so we wear those uniforms that same weekend. So if you were to come to the Tri-Cities last weekend of July, you could spend all day along the beautiful Columbia River. It's hot out. It's sunny. It's a summer party vibe. Watch the boat races and then come to a Dust Devils game in the evening, where we will play as the Columbia River Rooster Tails. And a rooster tail is the big plume of water that hydroplanes shoot out behind them.
Awesome. Yeah, and that logo is super cool. And I really want it, but until I make it to the stadium, I'm just going to have to look at it from afar.
We will set a hat aside for you, man.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you think of any other events that we might want to schedule around?
Yeah, there's not an event necessarily, but yes, there's we're surrounded by literally hundreds of wineries. And that goes as far as Benton City, which is a little west of in Tri-Cities, like in Richland, West Richland, and then down towards Walla Walla, which is east of us.
Right.
We're kind of like right in the middle there. But I'm a little biased with Red Mountain. I'm not sure how familiar you are with wine country or anything like
I'm
that.
not at all.
Red Mountain is it's newer. Just in the last, I don't know, 30 years or so, they started growing grapes up there. And there's a bunch of really good wineries out there, and they try to line up their, not events, I don't want to call them events because that makes it sound too secured, but they do like a weekend of like, we're celebrating Cabernets this weekend or week
fun.
or whatever. They're really known for Cabernets, Sauvignons up here. But I always recommend that to fans if they come out to the ballpark and they're like, what else should I do for the weekend if the game isn't until 7 p.m. on Saturday night?
Right.
I always recommend going out to some wineries. If you're wanting to stay local, I have like J. Bookwalter, which is like my favorite because they have a couple of restaurants and they're pretty fun. They have a rotating menu and local ingredients, that kind of thing, and their own wine as well. What's the name of the restaurant?
Fable. Yeah. Wineries and baseball.
That sounds
That's
really fun.
Yeah.
And dangerous, but fun.
It is. Can also make for a very long weekend.
Yeah, good.
Right?
Yes.
It's a long weekend.
Awesome. Now I'm wondering, since you said Walla Walla, that I wonder if they make any with like the sweet onions in their wine.
Oh my gosh.
Huh.
That would be amazing. Yeah, they have the baseball team, the Walla Walla Sweets,
right?
College Woodbat team, and they're known for their onions. And I've eaten a Walla Walla Sweet before, but I've never had it in liquid form.
Right? Yeah. I just wonder if they mix it in. But it's a perfect segue into my next question because I didn't see any regional foods when I was researching the area. Like that you have to try. Like if you're in Philadelphia, you try a cheesesteak. I didn't see that.
Right.
But I did hear that there's great Mexican food. But are there any good eats that you would recommend when we're coming into town?
For me, I do have a couple that stand out. There is, like we were just talking about, the J. Bookwalter restaurant. I might be a little biased maybe now that I'm saying their restaurant El Agave, which is in Richland off of Aaron Drive,
Wow.
I believe.
She's got the address.
I really like that one. It feels it's actually almost Tex-Mex. But it's got a little bit of a twist because the owners are from Mexico and they just did their research and they know people from Texas, I think. So yeah.
Perfect.
We're
Yeah.
really blessed. I mean, if you're in the Pacific Northwest and you want good Mexican food, the Tri-Cities is your place. There's a taco truck, Mexican food truck on every corner in Pasco and Kennewick, and you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, and I mean, the food trucks though are probably the true honest hidden gem. Because you got some abuelitas out there, you get some fresh tamales. It's like, I feel like that's and you can always Google search those also when you come into town, because sometimes also they have they rotate where they want to be.
Right. Okay.
So there's always that option as well.
Oh man, this is always my favorite part of this segment is talking about the food, which is awful because I just ate and now I'm seriously hungry right now.
You're like 2 hours ahead of us and it's almost dinner time here, so we're getting even more hungry.
Oh god, yeah, you're talking about it. I literally just ate and now I'm hungry again. Well, so if we're going to be eating all day, we've got to go and wind down or exercise or do something, You mentioned all the wine that we can have, and I'm assuming there's a lot of outdoorsy things to be considered. What are some other fun places that we should go when we're in town?
That's a great question, man. When people visit from out of town, we talk about the wineries, we talk about the Mexican food. I also mentioned, we're right along the Columbia River, which is this majestic, humongous, beautiful river. We're in the middle of the high desert in the Northwest. So it's kind of this oasis kind of vibe, especially in the summer. So
it's very unique for sure.
Yeah. And there are dozens and dozens of bike paths and hiking and jogging paths along the river. Each city kind of has their nice riverside parks and paths. And then a lot of locals like to hike Badger Mountain, which I think technically is not a mountain, but it's a really, really tall hill. And My favorite thing about the Tri-Cities is the amazing view that you can get. There's these amazing desert vistas, especially at sunset or sunrise. So a lot of locals will hike Badger at sunrise or sunset. And in fact, I have some friends that do it like to work off their last meal. So
Yeah.
Okay.
recommend
Awesome.
that.
And
That sounds perfect.
I have one more addition.
Mhm.
If you're a runner, I always recommend this to runners. If you head down 395 towards South Kennewick, there is this trail called, the whole thing's called Jump Off Joe. And
Don't ask us why.
I actually don't know the history of that now that I think about it.
No worries.
But it's really awesome, like trail running, but you're like in the, I don't know what to call it, like
In the wilderness?
yeah, it's like the wilderness, but not trees. You know,
Mhm.
you're running through.
You're in the desert.
Yeah, you're running through the desert. It's pretty cool, but it's also where like if you're running at sunset, like you're gonna
Ooh.
stop and take some photos. I always recommend going out there. And then now there's actually a new brewery, so
Oh,
you
yeah?
could actually, it's called Wheathead Brewing. You can actually go on a run out there, stop
There you
for
go.
a beer, come on back.
Hey.
You know, yeah.
Nice little
It's a
pub run. There we go.
That's
Yeah.
not a literal pub run.
It's a
Yes.
little desolate, so it's kind of nice.
Oh, that sounds great. No, that's perfect. Burn off the calories that you just drank. Awesome.
Yeah. And good
All
luck.
right. So I like to be considerate of the families that might travel.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to ask you one last question. What family activities or places would you recommend for those traveling with children or teenagers?
Yeah, enough about wine and beer, right?
Yeah. It's like that.
So I would say again, the parks along the Columbia River.
Yeah.
There's always tons of families having picnics or
Playgrounds.
playgrounds.
Yeah.
We have a really cool museum called the Reach Museum,
Mhm.
and it explains kind of the history of the place, like the natural geology and human history around the Tri-Cities. Something that might be interesting to older kids. So I don't know about younger kids. The world's first ever large-scale nuclear reactor was built just north of the Tri-Cities at the Hanford nuclear site, which was part of the Manhattan Project. So
Mhm.
if you've seen the Oppenheimer movie, it was part of that thing.
Oh, wow.
They
Yeah.
say Hanford in the movie.
They talk about it.
Hey,
And
awesome.
Karina's dad actually is a docent or tour guide out there. And so it's now a national historical place. And so a lot of people go out to learn about the history of everything out there.
Oh, wow. Awesome. I love those kind of things. So
Yeah.
it's exactly why I do this podcast, because how would I know about that unless
Yeah,
you
right?
just told
Yeah.
me?
You're doing a good service to the world out here, man.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, Eric and Carina, I don't want to keep you too long. So I want to thank you again for sharing your city with us. Now we have a starting point, at least when we go to the Tri-Cities, and some things to see, do, and eat and drink.
Yeah. Plenty of that. Yeah.
In the first segment, we shared where we can find Eric, Carina. Is there somewhere we could find you if anybody wants to follow you?
Yes, I don't remember it.
I do. You're on Instagram, right?
Yeah. What
And-
is it?
On Instagram, she's carinosa.leon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on Twitter, you're at Concarina, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I've changed it over the years, so I can't remember.
No
what it's-
worries. I will put it there perfectly in the show notes. So everybody who
Thank
wants to
you.
follow you both, I will have them there. I am very thankful and that you guys both came on and shared your city. It was a pleasure. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
We can't wait for the time when you can come out to the Tri-Cities. We were able to visit your beautiful hometown this past summer. I think it was Karina's favorite place she's
It
ever
was.
been.
Yeah.
So next time we're down there, we'll have to let you know.
Please do. Yes, absolutely. Well, that's it for this segment. So stick around for one more segment and I'll be right back. Welcome back to the last segment of the show, currently loosely titled Places You Should See or Do While in Town. I have a treat for you today, and I mean that quite literally. Today on the show, I have Chef Cara, who will be talking about hot mess burgers and fries. Hi, Chef. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about your restaurant.
Hey, thank you for having us. It's always great to be here.
Awesome. I can't wait to talk about it. So, Cara, when I was looking for a business to appear on this segment, I did what I always do. I went to Google and I typed in best restaurants in Tri Cities. I usually pick places to try when I visit cities by what the people say and how many people say it. The closer you are to 5 stars across several platforms, the more I want to try it. But also, I don't want it to be perfect because I want to know like some of the comments of like why people what they don't like, because that might be exactly why I like it. Your restaurant seems to be highly recommended across social media by folks of the Tri-Cities. The next thing I always go to is the social media like Instagram, and I look at the pictures. And the burgers and fries that you all make both Instagram worthy pictures and that Homer Simpson drool meme. They're both that worthy. Uh, I consider myself a fries connoisseur, so I can't wait to try some of those fries that you have. But can you share how you got started with Hot Mess Burgers and what it's like to be in business for over 5 years serving Tri-Cities?
Yeah, I mean, so we started back in
Sounds
2019
good.
as just a little pop-up business that we did events
Mhm.
in parking lots with a Blackstone griddle and made our burgers. And in early January of 2020, we were fortunate enough to try becoming a ghost restaurant. We became the first ghost restaurant in the Tri-Cities in our little commissary kitchen, right before everybody in the world had to become a ghost restaurant. And kind of went a little crazy during that time period and decided I didn't like any of the buns on the market, so we started making our own buns. And then somebody had mentioned that they didn't
Wow.
like that we used Hunt's ketchup, so I said, you know what? You're right. It's awful. So I started making our own ketchup. And before you know it, I'm making
Wow.
our own American cheese, our own everything from scratch every single day. And
Wow.
pretty shortly after that, people started to really understand what we were putting out there, and we were able to buy our own food trucks. So for the past 2 years, we've been working out of there, making our buns every single morning still, making cheese from scratch, and just wanting to make ridiculously huge, messy burgers that taste better than anything you can get on the market.
Holy cow. I didn't realize you made so much from scratch. Now that makes truly uh, a restaurant worthy to try. I mean, trying somebody who makes cheese from scratch, that's amazing. I didn't even realize you can make cheese from scratch, but that's awesome.
Yeah, no, me and my
Uh,
my
so
business
I,
partner Ben, sorry, we have 20 years of fine
no,
dining experience between, well, I have 20 years, he's got so 40 years of fine dining experience chefs on this little tiny food truck trying to make the best fast food we can.
that's so cool. But I mentioned you serve burgers and fries. You said burgers and fries, but saying burgers and fries really doesn't do what you guys do uh, justice. It really doesn't. So can you share a little more in detail for the listeners what you do make? And for our viewers, I'm going to be posting pictures to accompany. So what do you guys truly make?
So, like I said, we make the most ridiculous cheap burger you've ever had. My favorite burger growing up was from this place called Zips, which is also a local franchise in the Tri-Cities, and it's your standard greasy burger. It's been cooked on a griddle for that's probably hasn't been cleaned in years, and the sauce is phenomenal. And so I wanted to create all those flavors that you'd get, but with this locally sourced farm to fork kind of idea where the flour that we use to make our buns comes from a farm that's out 40 minutes away from us in Walla Walla. Our cheese comes from this place called the Walla Walla Cheese Company. Our meat comes out of Pasco. So I've spent my career making, $45 plates out of farm to fork kind of idea of what's local, what can we make that's in season and everything. And I just decided, let's make that but fast food. So we take away that exclusivity that you can only go and get the farm to fork locally sourced food from places that are charging you $50 for a steak.
Wow. I mean, that you really kept it local. So, and like I told you before we started recording, I really like to support places when I travel that are small businesses that are local, and you really like embody that local flavor truly. So that's super cool. What is the most popular item on the menu, and what do you consider the most unique?
So the most popular item on our menu is it's our standard cheeseburger, and we've decided to go ahead and just call it the boring mess. It's lettuce, tomato, onion, pickles, special sauce on a bun, and it's just that little bit of self-deprecation of putting all that time and energy and then calling it boring. That just it's beautiful.
Awesome.
But
That's
probably
so
our
cool.
most unique item is our take on like a larger sandwich. It's called the Big Mess, and so it's a double patty, lettuce, tomato, onion, pickle, special sauce, and then we make a whole grilled cheese and use that as that club bun. So like right in the middle of that whole sandwich is a whole grilled cheese sandwich
Oh
made
gosh,
with
wow. Yum.
yeah, with our house made American cheese. It's kind of ridiculous, and it weighs in at almost 2 whole pounds.
Okay, that's a challenge in itself. Okay.
We
Awesome.
also
Can you talk a little bit about your fries? Because I saw something that people seem to love, the pickle ones. Can you share about those?
yes, so every week we run a special, and we're really mean about it. So our specials run from Tuesday to Saturday when we're open, and then we never do them again. Never. Like every
Oh,
week is a completely different special, and so people get really, really attached, and then we're just like, nah, you're never gonna see it again. Maybe if we've like completely lost all creativity for a week, we'll bring something back, but if you love it, you see it on the menu, you got to come down and get it this week or it's gone.
oh no. So I did see how you had a recent customer mention how they would fly up from Texas, where I'm actually located, just to get some of those fries. That's awesome.
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
considering redoing some.
We will occasionally, like I said, there are weeks I have a 10-month-old at home, and there are some weeks where I just can't, we don't have time or energy to come up with a new special.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of throw our customers a little special and be like, hey, we lied. It's come back. Come and see us this week. But we it was so during the pandemic, it was so much worse because I did that every day. I would make a new special burger every single day and then just make it go away. So I have this
Oh no.
notebook that's just huge, full of all the specials that we can go through, and it's been a labor of love, and I love to just kind of irritate my town just a little bit with that.
That makes this food truck even that much more fascinating. That it's so limited uh, that you have to come back all the time. That's great. I did see a lot of positive comments about the quality and the service of the restaurant. What can people expect when they visit?
I mean, it is a family operation. My wife and I started it 5 years ago. She, up until recently, has always been the person at the window. I've always been kept in the corner because I'm a chef and I really shouldn't be allowed around people. But there's always a smile. We're happy to be there. Our employees are happy to be there. We've made it a goal of ours to make sure that in the service industry is not really known for taking care of its employees or people or mental health. And one of the things when I started my business is I wanted to make sure that we are the exact opposite of that. That if somebody was having a hard time, we'd give them a break and not work everybody 13 hours a day, 7 days a week until everybody was dead and burnt out. So And once again, it might be an irritation to our customers, but like a couple of weeks ago, me and my crew were just getting raggedy and everything. So I said, you know what, guys, I'm going to pay you for the day, but we're going to shut it down on Saturday, and you go have a good day, have a mental health day. And we just told our customers, hey, you're going to have to wait, because if you want a good burger, we all have to be in the right place to be able to get it to you. So I feel like, as much as that might irritate some people, there's a lot of respect for that in our town, and a lot of people really love that what we're trying to be, more than just a good burger, but a good restaurant, a good people to our community. We the truck that we have had this ugly corrugated metal all around the outside that we couldn't afford to get rid of. So I asked all of our customers to start sticker bombing it. So people will come down and put stickers of their other businesses and other restaurants all over our truck. And it really, I feel like we're in this great spot in the middle of downtown Kennewick, where we're surrounded. We get to be out in the open and visible to all these other businesses, and they all love to come and hang out and chat and put their stickers up there, because there's nothing more that we love than supporting other local businesses too. Because, if we're all doing good, we all do good.
True. Very true. And what a cool boss you are. And as a social worker by day, I can really appreciate that you really dive deep into the self-care with your employees as well as yourself. That's awesome. So one last question. Where can people literally find you at the food truck, and where can they find you online?
We don't have a website yet, so you can find us I guess now it's old school according to my daughters, but Facebook is probably where we're the most active. Facebook and Instagram, though, we're always posting everything that's going on there.
Awesome. I'll put those sites on in the show notes so people can find you. And Cara, I personally have not been to Tri-Cities yet, but it's still very much on the top of my list of places to visit. But for those of you headed to Tri-Cities to catch the Dust Devils, I recommend first looking at Hot Mess Burger's social media photos, and then realize that you have to schedule a pit stop when you're there. So thank you so much for coming on the show, and I want to wish you continued success for as long as you and your partners decide to make a hot mess. Thank you, Cara.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
That's a wrap on this week's episode. I hope you found some value in this week's show. Since the show is just getting started, if you could take a moment to rate the podcast, it would really help out to get it to show up on podcast platforms. Lastly, if you like minor league level baseball content, then why not give Minor League Fan Club a follow on social media? Head to minorleaguefanclub.com and you can find all the socials there. MLFC is on Instagram, TikTok, X, and there's even a Discord you can join if you'd like. Well, that's all for this week. Can't wait to get together again with you next week. We really knocked that one out the park.